Okay, before I go much further with adding photo etch onto this bit of lower superstructure, we've got some bits and pieces to do, vent covers and grab rails and bits and pieces to put on. What I want to do is build this up, because some of the scratch building, as we've talked about, goes up onto this unit as well. So I want to build this up. Before I do that, I need to check if there's anything I need to do in terms of removing material off here. Now, the MK1 set comes with replacements for all of these little lines here, which are grab rails. So they'd have you remove these, sand them off, and then put photo etch ones on. But actually, there's not much wrong with the Trumpeter ones, to be honest. You know, they're in the right place and they look okay. So I prefer to keep the photo etch ones for use where Trumpeter haven't put them where they should be, like under some of these windows, for example. So because the MK1 set hasn't put additional ones in for where they're missing, they've just replaced what Trumpeter did and not expanded that to include what Trumpeter didn't do but should have done. So that means, you know, places like this, I can take a view, you know, do I want to bend some photo etch and put it in there, or does that work as it is? And quite honest, it works as it is. But there are other things that I need to check, like positions of the scuttles. I do want to replace the hand irons there. These little steps, so I do need to remove those, and it's easier to do those now than it is to do it after we've added it in, just because it's easier to handle the unit. We've also got to open up all of these, so there's so many of them that we'll go for the power drill and open those up, and then once we've removed everything that we're going to be replacing, because we've got these big chunks of plastic and stuff, then we can look at sticking this all together so that we can start adding stuff on. So my next job is to just check what needs to be done, referencing the anatomy of the ship. Okay, I'm clear what I need to do. We have some missing scuttles in the wrong places, missing doors, scuttles that shouldn't be there, and then on these, again, lower scuttles, or I should say portholes, are all missing also. So we're going to drill them all out, mark up anything that needs filling, such as those there. And do all that basic prep work, then we can glue it all together. Strangely, Trumpeter have omitted some of the eyebrows above their portholes here. Doesn't matter to me because we're going to remove them all and replace them with photo-etched ones. Removing scuttle eyebrows with a chisel, something quite therapeutic about it really. Trumpeter had omitted some of these actually. I hadn't really noticed till I was getting up close with it, but we're just removing them so that we can sit others nice and flat without anything getting in the way. This is ever so slightly oversized and the positions are ever so slightly off, but because it's slightly oversized they're about right, so I'm not getting too worked up about it. I'll just get them nicely removed, and then it's a little bit time consuming, but like I say, it's quite therapeutic. Also, on this side we need to replace those because we've got photo etch to replace them. On this side we need to remove all three because they don't exist or shouldn't, so we've got quite a bit to get rid of here. So again, we can do that with our chisel in the first instance. There we go, and then we can just sand all of that flat. They're also missing doors off these, so I don't understand how they can look at something, understand where some things go, and then completely miss the others. It may be that this is another one of those parts that was designed for the sister ship rather than the Scharnhorst, and they assumed it was the same and didn't actually do the research properly and didn't reference this model particularly well, I don't think. It could be the worst Trumpeter model for detail accuracy, actually. Okay, I think we have cleaned this up as much as we need to, unless I've missed something. I was just looking at these steps here and thinking I'd like to replace those with etch, but I don't believe that the instructions go there, the MK1 set. So what I have noticed is, though, in this picture here, is we've got some of the missing ventilators openings in, but they're not listed in the instructions. I can't find where they go in the instructions at all, which is a shame, because when I counted the missing ventilators on the lower superstructure and against what there was in the photo etch, there isn't enough to replace them all. So whether we're going to do those ones or not is yet to be determined, but I just wanted to see if there was anything about replacing the stairs on that deck. That's that there, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, it looks like we do. Looks like we do. So I've got those to remove, but that's not a problem. We can do that later on. Okay, so I've glued in these little half round sections here, and the fit is really nice. So let's have a look at getting this all together now. This is the first time I've fitted this after the half rounds have gone in, and well, that's a lovely tight fit, isn't it? You know, no glue there, and we're in. Right, let's get that glued in then, and then we can start doing the detailing, which, as you know, is going over more than one of the parts at a time. So just let that capillary in. And then we can start making the modifications to this and getting it where we want it to be. A little bit of tidying up to do, sanding on these edges and the like, just to get it where we want it. Okay, it's starting to come together now, isn't it? So yeah, it gets quite exciting when we get to this stage. What we've got to do though is rein it in a little bit and focus on this as a model in its all right. So if mentally you go to, I am building a model of the forward section of the superstructure of Scharnhorst in 1/200 scale, then you feel like you're making better progress, and it's less daunting than if we go, right, I've got all this to do. So it's just managing your mind and helping you progress through the build, which I think is quite an important thing to do. So next steps will be a little bit of tidying up, getting edges sanded smooth and what have you. Then we've got some filling to do where we've got put holes that shouldn't be there, and then we can start looking at what the next steps are. But clearly I need to be removing those, which I don't think the instructions have told me to do. There is a little section in the instructions where they show you what they want you to remove. They highlight it all in pink. So I'm just going to check, because if they've missed it, that's something I want to point out to you guys. Here it is. No. Remove. So it's me, not them. I've also got this deck to now add in, and there's some sections need removing from that as well. So we can do all that at the same time. So actually, I think that's my next job. So we can just remove those with a chisel, nice and gently, because there's a wooden deck going over this. So as long as it's flat, it doesn't have to be pretty. Okay, now removing these splinter shields or bulkheads, whichever you want to call them, that's a little bit more problematic. So these two here, I want to just confirm what we're doing with those. I seem to remember they're wrong, so I need to visit my anatomy of the ship. Okay, let's talk about this area then, because what we're actually talking about is this section here. Let's see if we can find a pale grey. There we go. Pale grey picture, it'll be easier to see. So this section here, I can't see it very well under the light, is this section here, which is this section here. And you can see that it's correct to remove this bulkhead here. I think that's correct. You've got two rangefinders, you've not got a bulkhead there. The whole thing looks wrong, doesn't it? Because there's bulkhead along there and we've got entrances along there. So the whole thing just doesn't look right. But then when we look at what MK1 do with it, and we can see here, what they're asking us to do is remove the bulkheads, and then they put some etched deck in. But they're not correcting the bulkheads, so we might have to do some scratch building here. And we've got some boxes and bits and pieces to do, and it looks like there's a door there which is missing from the kit part. So we'd have to do that, and then there's a door here which is missing. So I agree with MK1 that we need to remove those, and then we've got the interaction of this deck going around it as well. So I want to fit this and get a better view. Well, you can see when you've got this deck in that we're a million miles away from it. So we need to remove so much of this. I mean, the levels are wrong and everything. So, yeah, there's so much wrong with this, isn't there? I think these side bulkheads need to come out as well. It should all be level. And when you look at the pictures provided by MK1, they're accepting that the levels are wrong and not correcting it. So I'm gonna have to think about what I want to do here, but I might look at raising that up in there for mounting these parts. But then what's that for? That hole there, we don't want to mount anything there, I don't think. Should be in there. So there's a little bit of corrective work needs to be done. I think we can take that head out and then replace it with a shorter one as per that. Remove that one, remove those, and put the steel decks in and then see where we're up to. But I might want to raise that up to make that look correct. Okay, so we've done the removal stage of rectifying this. We're going to need to extend this back to this step here. So this should go all the way back to the bulkhead, which means we'll have to modify the wooden deck because MK1 have the wooden deck going around there, which is also incorrect. We're then going to raise this up so that we've got a step that is up with here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Bismarck photo etch, my 1/200 Bismarck photo etch, because I've got multiple sets in there and I think I'll have some spare steel deck which I can then cut to size to fit this. Now the curves will be difficult, so what we might do is use the steel deck from the MK1 set and then patch up at the back is sort of my thought process. We'll see, because this bit will be too short because it'll end there and I need it to go right to the back. This bit, however, might be okay. I'm not sure because the bulkhead was sort of there, so still might be a little bit too short. So we might just need a little section for there. But I've got to build this all up, and then I've got to put new bulkheads in at the back, and build up the bulkheads here, and then put little doors in. And we'll have to try and identify them as doors, make them look different in some way. And we've got to raise the deck up in here, up to the level of this deck here. So quite a bit of work to do on that. But for now, at this stage, what we can do is simply glue this all into place, and that gives us a firm foundation. So the fit is good. Just need to check we've cleaned all this up. I've got little lips there and I want to sand all of those off. So I'll just go around with a 600 and do that. There we go. Now we do have some ejector pins, but we can sort that out once it's glued in place and a bit more stable. Yeah, we've got cages and things in there, so I think they won't be seen, but because they're raised, we could actually just go in and take those off now. They're not even that noticeable, I don't think. And because we're doing this in a dark colour as well, it's a bit of a sin hider, which is good. Okay, let's get this glued into place. You can see there's a lot of debris on my desk as a result. Okay, once again using Plastic Magic, it just gives us a nice strong bond. Glue all down that length. Get that in there. I'll just let that all capillary in, and then if we can flip her over to underneath there, just follow the whole edge. Now these are ejector pins as well, and we can fill those when we do the filling of the scuttles. There we go, that's all in place, nice and tight. I just want to put a little bit of a weight on that. There we go, that'll make sure it all sits nice and tight. We can now add the two stern capstans now the paint is dry. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. I'm using medium CA here just to hold that in. Make sure we get our red and green on the right side. That's annoying. Just going to open these holes up a little bit with the reamer because they're just ever so slightly too small. We don't need to change the positions. But we do need to make sure that the capstans fit in. There we go. Yeah. So we're just going to put some medium CA inside the hole. And that'll be plenty strong enough to hold them in place. It's not like we're going to actually use them. Making sure we get the colours on the right way around. There we go. A little bit of touch up on the top, which we can do later. That completes all of our deck fittings for now. So let's move on and see what the next steps are. Okay, we're now ready to start detailing up the superstructure, the 4-part, with some of the bits and pieces that we need to add on to it. And we're starting with the pipework that's running at the back here. You can just see that. And I've just had a go at forming it to the plans. This is 1/200 scale, fortunately. And we can do that with plastic rod. This is 020 inch plastic rod, so 0.5 millimeter. But I also have 0.5 millimeter lead wire, which should be easier to manipulate, but sometimes can be a bit soft to get it nice and straight. So just going to have a go, and we're going to do it the same way that I did with the plastic rod. So we're just going to lay it on top and use it as a plan. And then at the bend with the tweezers, just put a gentle bend in. Till that's at the right direction. And then we can do that again and bring it back. Like so. And then we have a little termination point at the top, which basically it folds back on itself. So yeah, I think that is doable with a little bit of care. And then we'll have to create these little triangles to terminate off with. So I'm going to carry on forming those, and then we'll have a look at sticking them on. There's some smaller ones to do there, which I might do because they're a bit thinner, with some copper wire. Lead wire is extremely delicate, very easy to bend and quite easy to snap as well, so we have to be very careful with this. So the first pipe is nice and easy to place because we're putting the outside leg against the outside leg. Like so. So put a little bit of adhesive. You don't want to drop it really. A little bit of adhesive using CA on the bottom there and also on the top, just to fix it in place. And there we go. That's the first one in place. Second one goes just behind it. There we go. And our third one here goes just behind that and Just going to check the fit. Yeah, that's good. There we go, that's our pipe work in. I think that looks quite cool. It's not perfect, but it's better than it's not being there at all. And we just want to make sure there's nothing going to stop this part from fitting properly. So that's good, that's all in. Next thing we can do, I mean, we've got some more we can put in there in a moment, but we can put a photo etched door in next. Okay, that is our door on. There we go. Right, I'll have it slightly ajar. I quite like that, so we'll leave it like that. So on fret I of the MK1 set, we have some ventilators with doors, and I'm using number 7, which is the largest one, to put the 2 ventilators on that should be here. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to very gently bring the door forward so it's not fully flat, because on this first one it overlaps the pipes. Yeah, where's my other tweezers? There we go. And then we put a little bit of glue. I'm using medium CA here. And it's sitting quite low down, so about level with the top of the ventilator and the scuttle there. There we go. And then the other one is lower down and beneath the window. Now this one can be completely flat, so we'll put our adhesive on the door and then just a little bit on the grill. So not quite at the bottom and underneath the window. So there. Make sure that's straight. Okay, so we've just got that to fill and then that bit's done. I'm going to have a look at whether it's possible to make the little pipe work there, which I'm guessing must run round there somehow. So I need to look at where that terminates. So consulting my anatomy of the ship, the little pipe work that comes around there terminates just around the corner. So we need to fold it around the bulkhead and then terminate it underneath here. To get those distances right, we need to put the little triangular pieces onto there. So now the glue's set there, we can trim that a little bit. So let me just get my knife. See if we can zoom you in a bit more. Trim those now so they're all the same length. There we go. Excellent, that's looking good. And then we'll get a bit of plastic card, I think, to sort that out. So just going to mark the length we need. So before we cut that out and remove it, we can cut the shapes in. So I'm going to cut it there to start with. We might trim more off yet because that's probably a little deep. Let me have a look against the book. Yeah, it is a little deep, so I'm just going to trim a bit more off. And then I'm going to trim the shape in to make the triangles, but not go all the way down so it remains one piece. That's going to allow me to just glue it in to place, but give you the effect that we're looking for. And then cut the last bit off. There we go, that is our little teeth there. So what we'll do is place them on. Let me see if I can get the light a bit better. And then you can see what we're doing. Go. So get that out of the way, and that out of the way. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just carefully place this on. There we go. So that's our pipework there completed, and that can give me a distance then for the smaller ones. So let's get some copper wire for them. Right, I've got some very, very fine copper wire which has come out of my scraps. So I don't know whether I bought this or whether I've reclaimed this from some electrical cabling. I think it's a bit thin for electrical cabling. So we need to start looking at forming this. So same as last time, I'm going to form it on the drawings of the anatomy of a ship. So we'll just take you out so you can see us doing that. Let's get this out of our way for a minute. And there we've got our drawing, and I'm going to start with the back one. We need to put a little twist in the top. So we started at the bottom last time. This time we're going to start at the top. So I'm going to put a little twist in the top, just wrapping it around the end of my tweezer there. You can see It's a bit small. What I'll do when I've done this is I'll take a picture and you can see what that looks like. Get that nice and straight. And then we want to bend it again with the tweezers like we did with the lead wire. There we go, that's about bob on. Now then, what we'll do is we'll add this on, fold it and then trim it, and then do it again with the next one. So this one almost touches the connection points of the others, and it goes pretty much against the back pipe there, so it goes there like that. So we can glue that in. There we go, that's flush. And we'll put a little bit of glue underneath there and take that a little bit longer so we can tack that down. Bend it around. I'm just going to use the flat end of my tweezers there to push this square, and then we can terminate it with a sharp knife. There we go, and that is pretty much spot on to what it should look like. So I'll do the others and then I'll come back to you. That completes the work on this section, and I think that's looking suitably busy and really quite nice. So if I bring that up to you, you can see that definitely looks much better now. So we're going to focus on this area next, and Trumpeter have made an error and put in a cable run, or 2 cable runs it would seem, above the door. That shouldn't be there at all. And then the MK1 set has given you replacements for both that cable run and that cable run, and done them in the style of like a handrail, which is also not correct. So rather than putting a handrail in, we're going to just sand this out here at the bottom, and then we're going to extend this with a bit of copper wire down to this edge here where it should go, and then it feeds down into the deck. So we need to put a little bit of copper wire extension in. Then we've got some more of these in different sizes to add, 3 of them, and then we can put our eyebrows on these 2 lower portholes. I'm not putting them on the top ones because well, I'm going to see if they fit first, but I'm not sure that they're going to fit in, so we'll just leave them if they won't fit in. And there's also from here coming down to above the door, there is a little lamp, so we need to put some wire in and a little lamp, because the lamp won't work without wire, will it? Okay, I've sanded that away now. It might not look pretty on camera, but when we prime it, it'll disappear. So what we're going to do is, using the same copper wires we did there, we're just going to glue a small piece in and then terminate it off, and then we'll use that for the cabling for the lamp as well. So let's just get my little bit of medium CA on the back of this. I use medium as a rule, partly because the drying time is a bit slower than thin, and partly because I find the thin much more difficult to apply. There we go, and using my old sprue cutters, I can flat face that, like that, and just put a little bit of adhesive underneath there and bed it down. There we go. And that completes that cabling as it should be. Okay, so now we've got a little spear of cable to run down, but we need to put the lamp in first. So I've got some rectangular section here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand in a curve. So we're going to change the shape of the top to a dome. And that'll be the front face of the lamp. Okay, so that looks good now. Then I'm going to chop it flush. It doesn't need to be too proud. And with that done, I can now cut that in half, and that'll make 2 lamps, one for each side. That makes the lamps rectangular, and they need to go, which is the shape we want, and they need to go the longest length going up in that direction. So let's get those glued in before we lose them. So the lamp sits just slightly proud. In fact, that might still be a little bit too wide, so I'm going to trim a bit off the side and just narrow it down a bit. I think that looks better. I don't know why, I seem to get a bit of static on these tweezers from time to time. Right, that's not quite centered. So just there we go. That's our lamp in place. I'll just get that one out of the way because I've not sanded the cabling off on the other side, and I've not checked whether the other side is the same, to be honest. So now we can put our little cable run in. So we'll just see how long that needs to be. If it goes to the top there, I'm going to bend it where we need to cut. There we go. So that now gives us a nice, hopefully perfect length of wire. Yep. So a little bit of adhesive. Okay, that now looks a lot more authentic. Well, that's come away. I hadn't noticed that until I looked at it on camera. So I'll fix that while I can see it. Put too much on there, so let me just get a bit of paper towel. We'll get rid of some of that adhesive. Okay, there we go. Sorted. So next thing I'm going to do is porthole along there, and then I think we've got some photo-etched we can put in on there. But I'm going to check whether I need to do the same on this side, and then we can glue that lamp in. So just as you can see, we're just moving one section at a time. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and that way you won't miss my first impressions, my tool reviews, my product reviews, and any of my builds.
including wooden model kits as well as plastic. It's all free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.